first church, hell fought me, and right after the devil fought me, my church just exploded. I was developed with the opposite of leukemia. I was diagnosed, it was called polycythemia vera. My blood was so thick that my brain was swollen. I was in the ministry less than 90 days. And my brain swelled up, and when they drained the blood out, I saw snakes crawling on the wall. And I was convinced that I was going to die because the doctor told me, he said, you'll either die of a cerebral hemorrhage, a blood clot, or a heart will explode. God healed me, and as soon as that happened, the church exploded. We had to add on to a second church. I'd been there for several years. My youth pastor was found to have kidnapped 5 girls on 3 different occasions and took them out to the city dump and raped them.
Wow.
When he gave them his card, when he drove away and he gave them his card, he said, I need help. And he gave them my card with my name on it. So the sheriff came out and arrested him. He said, we know it's not you. We're going to arrest him. They put him in jail. My wife went into labor, and she carried the baby about a month longer than she should have carried it. And whenever she carried it that long, I mean, he almost died. She almost died. As soon as he went to prison, and we got bad publicity, and the devil just told me he was going to tear the church all to pieces, church exploded. We had to add on a balcony. We had on a parking lot. Third church, I won't go through all that. Fourth church, Brownsville. Revival broke out. I fell. I broke 11 ribs. I broke my pelvis in half on both sides. I dislodged my kidneys and my liver. I had to lay flat on my back for 3 months. Couldn't even get out of the bed. As soon as I came back to the church, and the newspapers just about destroyed us, as soon as I came back to the church exploded. Revival went to another level, and the people began to come in hordes. Here's what I've learned. If the devil's fighting, it's a dead giveaway God's about to bless.
It's a dead giveaway.
It's a dead giveaway.
Boy, I like that. You know, Tony will remember this because Tony's been with me since I was 18, but I preached a meeting in a church years ago. And I'm going to tell this, I've never told this on TV ever, to my knowledge. I was staying in the evangelist department. The second week of the revival, I heard the side door. Now, this is going to get freaky. Put your hands over your kids' ears right now. I heard the side door open at the church, and I thought the janitor may be coming in to clean, or something. But I had a little digital watch. It was 3 in the morning. I thought, this is weird. Then I'm thinking, well, there's no phone. Never stay in an advanced department that doesn't have a phone. Thank God for these. I didn't have these back then. I mean, there's no phone, nothing in there. And I'm thinking, oh, my goodness, something's happened to the family. The pastor's coming to get me. And instead of a knock on the door, somebody starts jiggling the door. Now I'm getting scared. I'm in the bedroom. I have the bathroom light on where I can get up and see. And so help me, God bear me record in heaven. I want to tell you exactly what I saw. When the door opened, a being, about 4 foot tall, with still looking hair, with red eyes, with gnarly teeth, that just was dressed like an Egyptian mummy, turned and looked at me. And I saw it out of the corner. I could see it. I mean, total fear came on me. It then started taking trash and spreading it. I heard it. I heard it with me. I am awake. I am not sleeping. It goes into the pastor's office. I can hear the pastor's chair squeaking, hitting the desk. It then goes upstairs to the pastor's council office and never leaves. Now, I'm going to tell you this story real quick. Something shifted in the revival. And I saw even the pastor's countenance shift. And when it shifted, basically the revival was shut down. He got up and said, we're going to close the meeting now. I left town. And a lot of confusion and conflict arose after that. And I'm not going to go into detail because it's a thing of the past. However, my name was just about wrecked by things people said that were not true. That's all I'm going to say. It was horrible. It was about the time I married Pam. Tony, you'll remember, because I preached to Tony's right after that. Tony was saying, don't worry about it. God will take care of it. But it's hard it's hard to not worry when you're in the battle. It really, y'all know that. It's just hard. And I'm like, they're saying this, and I'm going to sue. My dad actually threatened a lawsuit against the entire denomination because of stuff that was being said. My dad made a call. It got that serious. He said, you're not slandering my boy's name, and we'll come up there. So it got serious. And I didn't. Thank God. Yeah, this like my dad said, don't you make me come up here now. Don't you make me come up here. But you remember, it was hell, man, because it's hell when they're repeating stuff that's not true. And then everybody repeats it as fact. And I'm trying to stop the rumors. Okay. 10 years later, man, 10 years later, and I'm going to be careful saying this on TV because there's people in the area that watch me. I met a young man who said to me, my family was saved in that meeting, and because of all the craziness, they left the church. I left the church and found out that one of the occult's biggest men's son was in the area recruiting people for the Satanic Church. And you had shut drugs down in 3 counties. No, they could not find. We had 400 kids get saved one night. Falling out of the power of God and everything else. They said that they couldn't get drug dealers for the schools. And a man in the church was sleeping with another guy's wife who was a drug dealer. And this man went and told lies on you to the pastor as a fact. And the pastor did not know he was lying. And said this man was assigned by this satanic guy to stop the meeting.
There you go.
And he told me listen, I'm not going to go into detail, but he told me a story so real that the next day a detective from another county came to talk to me. Because he gave information and the detective didn't know. They were trying to solve a case and he had, okay, I'm getting a little bit carried away. I don't want to get too deep on this. Now, the reason, I'm pretty deep at this point. Now, what happened though, you said this is my point that I want to make. With hell breaking loose, my name being wrecked, 7 rumors, none of them true. Okay, and I'm saying, what am I going to do? I go see T.L. Lowry, my mentor, and I'm telling him I'm depressed, I'm mad, I'm going to do this. And T.L. looks at me and says, Perry, have you ever heard him talk? Listen, son, go ahead and be a little controversial, because one day they'll all want to come to hear you preach. That's what he told me. And then he says this. T.L. Lowry looks at me. Yeah, he said, let him talk, don't worry. He said, any publicity is good publicity. This is the guy that used to preach to 10,000 people in a tent. Then he says this to me. He says, don't sweat the peanuts. I've never known. I've never asked T.L. to this day what don't sweat the peanuts means. But let me tell you the end result. Ready? Yeah. I mean, watch this. That was in November. January, I started a revival. Here we go. You ready? You know what happened in that revival? It went 8 weeks. One of the biggest revivals of my ministry. The newspaper came out and did a report. It was the greatest meeting I'd ever had in Daisy, Tennessee. It exploded. Then my wife and I get married, and then straight back to back, a 2-week revival, a 3-week revival. I mean, and God, it took years for some people to finally believe it. But God avenged it. And I've been back to that church, by the way, 7 times for revival.
I'll tell you what, Barry.
So God, what I'm saying. But I want to give my story. That's the greatest battle I ever went through, wasn't it?
If you've got 3 children, and you got 5 children, 10 children, the one that stays in trouble, the one that stays sick, the one that stays in the principal's office, is usually the one that the hand of God's resting on.
That's so true. That's so true.
You know, years ago, there was a baby born in the Depression era in Oklahoma, and the mother came out, held the baby up in the room, and they didn't know the baby's name until she said the baby's name, and she held it up in the living room. And they said, well, honey, what are you going to call the baby? She said, his name is Oral. I don't know about you, but the only person I've ever known in my life named Oral is Oral Roberts.
That's true.
You know,
the only person.
I know a lot of Elvises, but I don't know but one Oral. But here's the thing. When she said the words oral, hell developed a strategy right there against him.
It sure did.
Because if you're going to be oral, what do you need? You need your lungs and your tongue.
That's right.
You need your lungs and your tongue. How did the devil fight Oral Roberts? He fought him with tuberculosis.
Yeah,
and he fought him with stuttering.
Yes.
And that right there is a dead giveaway of however the devil's fighting you, or how the devil's fighting one of your children is a dead giveaway how God's going to use them. And I want to say something else too. You know, I used to think that God would bless and the devil would come to steal the blessing. But I don't believe that anymore. I'll tell you what I believe now. That the devil always attacks right before the blessing. And let me tell you something else. If you're going through a little attack, I feel sorry for you. Because you got a little blessing coming. If you're going through a mediocre attack, you got a mediocre blessing. If you're going to go through hell, go through it right. Get you a major blessing. And here's what I'm saying. It's proportionate. If hell is fighting you, that's proportionate of how God's going to bless you. I found